Yes, the triangle does get big real fast. What? Yeah. You'll see when we're done. Okay, here we go. All right, so long division. Just like we did in that warm-up, the long division, we're going to do long division with polynomials. Now, there's actually two different ways to divide polynomials, and we're going to look at both of them today. One's called long division. Another one is called synthetic division. Now, you will like the synthetic division much more than you will the long division, but you have to be able to do both because there are some problems you can't use synthetic division on, and you have to be able to do the long division on it. So, we're going to divide negative y squared plus 2y cubed plus 25 by y minus 3. And we're going to do that using long division. And what I'm going to do, why we're doing that, is I'm also going to do another long division problem at the same time, just with numbers that you're used to doing. Now, the first thing is when you're going to do long division, you have to make sure of two things. One, it's got to be in standard form. And two, if there's a missing place value or if there's a missing term, you have to put in a 0 for it. Okay? So in this case here, we have y minus 3, so that goes on the outside. And then we put our division sign. So and then when I write it under the division sign, I'm going to put it in standard form. So we got 2y cubed minus y squared. Since there's no y term, I have to put a 0 in for that. And then plus 25. All right, so while we're doing that, I'm also going to do 25 into 3,578. Okay. So we can look at all the steps at the same exact time. All right, so if you're missing any of the terms here, then you need to put the 0 in for it. If you don't, you will make a mistake and it will not be correct. Okay? And that's even more important when we do synthetic. Okay? All right, so what did we do first here then? If I got 25 going into 3,578, what do I do? I know Alyssa told us what to do with on the one warm-up, but what do I do? Somebody else. Chris? Okay, divide 35 by 25. Okay, so how many times is 25 going to 35? Once. Okay, so we put the 1 over the 5. We multiply them. 1 times 25. That's not going to help us in this situation. Okay, because this is the way you got to do these. No, we're not doing that right now. No. I know what you're talking about, but I know you're talking about putting 2,500 here, right? Okay, well. Okay, so then we subtract, and we get 10. And then we would bring down the 7. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the polynomials. All right? Except when we start here, then we're focusing on, instead of the whole y minus 3, we're just focused on the y. So how many times does y go into 2y cubed, or what's 2y cubed divided by y? What's 2y cubed divided by y? 2y squared, right? Okay. I'll show you in a minute. Okay. You'll see why in just a minute. Okay. So 2y cubed divided by y is 2y squared. So I'm going to put that over the y squared term. I want to keep everything lined up. So then I multiply. I'm going to multiply 2y squared by both of these. Okay? Not just the y, but by both of them. So 2y squared times y is 2y cubed. 2y squared times negative 3 is negative 6y squared. Now, when we got to 25 over here, what did we do then? We subtracted it. So the same thing is here. We're going to subtract. Well, what happens when I'm subtracting a polynomial? Okay, all right. We're changing the signs, right? It's like multiplying by negative 1. Okay, remember you did that last week? All right, when we were subtracting polynomials. So when I subtract, I have to change the signs. Okay? Because I'm subtracting this whole quantity. So this becomes a negative, and that becomes a positive. So we get 2y cubed minus 2y cubed is 0. And if you don't get 0 from the first one here, if these aren't the same, then you made a mistake. You got to start over again. Okay? Negative y squared plus 6y squared is 5y squared. And then we bring down the 0y. Well, if I put a y there, that means there's one y, right? There is no y's in my problem, is there? No, there's 0 of them. So if you were to put just y there, you would think of that as one y, and it's not. It's 0 y's. Okay. Now, we look at these two. Focus on the 5y squared and the y. Okay, just like our next step over here would be, how many times does 25 go into 107, right? Okay. Over here, we do 25 into 107 is 4 times. So just like we started, we're going to multiply again. 4 times 25 is 100. Then we subtract. So we get 7 and bring down the 8. So we're doing the same thing then. 5y squared is my number I'm using now, just like the 107. Okay. 5y squared divided by y is what? What? 5y. Okay. 5y squared then divided by y is positive 5y. Then we're going to multiply. 5y times y, 5y squared. 5y times negative 3 is negative 15y. And here's the thing, Jocelyn. If we didn't have this here, you would have brought down the 25, and then you probably would have tried to combine the 25 and the 15y, which they're unlike terms, and you can't do that. Okay?
So technically, you don't need the 0.
You don't have to put it there, but when we get to synthetic division, you have to have that 0 there. Okay? If you don't, then it will mess you all up. All right, so we're going to subtract, okay, just like the next thing we did, 100, so we're going to subtract. When we subtract, we change the signs. Okay, remember, when we're subtracting, we're adding the opposite. So the opposite of 5y squared minus 15y would be negative 5y squared plus 15y. So this first part's going to be 0. Then we get 15y. And we bring down the 25. So just like we would take the 78 and divide by 25, or see how many times 25 goes into 78 then to finish that one. We'll take our 15y here, and what's 15y divided by y? Okay, it's just 15, right? 15y divided by y is 15. So think of it like this. Okay, what would happen? The y's would cancel and I'd be left with 15, right? Okay, so 15y divided by y is 15. So we add 15 here. And now I'm going to multiply 15 times y minus 3. So we get 15y, and 15 times 3 is negative 45. So what are we doing? Saying how many times does this go into that? We multiply, subtract. Okay? Just like regular long division back when you were in 4th grade. All right? So we subtract, and we subtract, we change the signs. So I get a remainder then of 70. Okay? So my final answer then is going to be 2y squared plus 5y plus 15, and then plus 70 over y minus 3. But each step is just like each step you did doing long division with your numbers. The only difference is there's two things you got to make sure of. One is changing the signs, but the other one is where people make mistakes, is that when they get the numbers up here, 2y squared, 5y, like that, you have to remember to multiply that by the whole thing, y minus 3, so you get two terms in each of these parts, here, here, okay? I should say there and there. All right? So you need to make sure of that. All right, so let's look at another one. Okay, so here we have x to the 4th minus 5x plus 10 divided by x plus 3. So we're missing two terms then, right? We don't have an x cubed term or an x squared term. So for both of those, we need to put in 0. So x plus 3 into x to the 4th plus 0x cubed plus 0x squared minus 5x plus 10. So x to the 4th divided by x is what? Okay. X cubed, right? Okay. So then we're going to put 1x cubed over the x cubed term. Okay, I'm going to line them up all the way through. And then we multiply. X cubed times 4 is x to the 4th. X cubed times 3 is plus 3x cubed. Okay. So we found out how many times does x go into x to the 4th. We multiplied, and now we're going to subtract. When we subtract, change the signs. So we're going to get 0 here. Always will get 0 there. Then minus 3x cubed. And then we got to bring down the 0x squared. Next term. So what's negative 3x cubed divided by x? Okay. Negative 3x squared. So I write that over the x squared term, negative 3x squared. Then we multiply. Negative 3x cubed minus 9x squared. And you have to remember to make sure you multiply negative 3x squared times both of them. Okay. Then we subtract. When we subtract, we change the signs. So we get a positive 9x squared. And bring down the negative 5x. So I'm focused on the 9x squared now. How many times does x go into 9x squared? Okay, or divide them. And you get 9x. I'm going to add 9x here. And so when you do that multiplication, always 9x times x is 9x squared. In every situation, these have always got to be the same. Okay? If they're not, then you've made a mistake. So 9x times x, 9x squared, 9x times 3 plus 27x. Subtract. Change the signs. So we get negative 32x, and then bring down the 10. Negative 32x divided by x, negative 32. And 32 times 3 is 96. Change the subtract, so we change the signs. You get a remainder of 106. So I say plus 106 over x plus 3. So then if I multiply these two things together, x plus 3 and my answer, I would get x to the 4th minus 5x plus 10. Okay, so that was one way you could check it, multiply them together. Or you could pick a number, put a number in for x in your original, and then put a number in for x in your x plus 3 and your answer. Multiply them, they should give you the same response. This one, okay, some of them, they get to be a lot of work, okay, a lot of writing. All right, well, there's this other thing called synthetic division, and we're going to use this example B here for me to show you synthetic division. Okay. All right. Now, with synthetic division, what we're going to do is we're actually going to use what makes this equal to 0. So if I have the factor x minus a, what makes x minus a equal to 0? What value of x? A does, right? Because if I do a minus a, I get 0. Okay? So with synthetic division, we're going to actually use the 0 to be able to find the answer. Okay? So here was one I've used in the past. I'm not going to use that one, though. And I'm not going to use that one. Oops, we're going to cover that one up. Goodbye. Okay. So we're going to use our example B from the last problem, which was x to the 4th minus 5x, was it plus 10? Okay, and that was divided by x minus 3, right? Oh, plus 3? Okay. All right, so we're going to do this one. We saw over here all the work it takes to divide that. Okay? All right? Now I'm going to show you synthetic division, which is much quicker and easier to use, but if you end up with a problem like this one, because it's not just an x there, you have to use long division, okay? If all I have is like x minus 3 or x plus 2, x plus 5, x minus 5, we can use synthetic division, but anytime you put a coefficient in front of the x, you have to use long division to do it, okay? All right, so here's the ease of synthetic division. First of all, we're going to put a little half a box over here, and we're going to put the 0 in that box. So what makes this 0? What makes x plus 3 equal to 0?
Negative 3.
Negative 3, okay? So we're going to put negative 3 in that box there, that little half a box. Okay? Now, all you're going to write here then, next to it, is the coefficients of this. All right? What's the coefficient of x to the 4th? How many x to the 4th do I have? I have 1. So I put a 1 first of all. Okay? How many x cubes do I have? 0. How many x squareds do I have? 0. And then I have a negative 5x and 10. Okay? So I put what makes this equal to 0 in the little box, and then I'm going to put down the coefficients. Now leave a little space, or on your notebook paper, leave a line, and then draw a horizontal line. All right. Now the first thing you're going to do is going to bring this down. Bring that first number, that first coefficient just comes right down underneath there. That's going to be my first answer, is a 1. Okay? Now, we are going to take negative 3 and multiply it by 1 and put it up here. So we get negative 3 there. And then we're going to combine them. What's 0 plus negative 3? Negative 3. Okay, so we're just adding them together then. Now we do that same thing. We're going to take negative 3 times this negative 3 and put it there. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Then we're going to combine them. What's 0 and 9? 9, right? Now we're going to do the same thing. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. Do these numbers look familiar from what we did? Okay. All right. Negative 5 and negative 27 is negative 32. And we do negative 3 times negative 32. Positive 96. Okay. Add them together, and we get 106. Okay. So here's my remainder. Okay. So this is my x term, x squared, x cubed. Oops, excuse me, hold on. Oh, that was too big. Make that smaller. Sorry. 32. Okay. So this is my constant then, sorry. Here's x, x squared, and x cubed. So my answer is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 9x minus 32 plus 106 over x plus 3. Yes? Okay. I expect you to write it as a fraction. Okay. Now, was that faster? Okay. Definitely easier, wasn't it? Okay. All right. So let's do another one of them. Right. So here's where the big mistake is usually made. Okay. There's two of them. One is making sure you use the 0. Okay. And the other is making sure you put in zeros for any missing terms. Okay. So you got to make sure you do those two things. All right. So here we have another one. So this 0 goes there. What makes x plus 2 equal to 0? Negative 2. So negative 2 goes here. Okay, it's always the 0. And then I just list the coefficients. 3, negative 1. There's no x squared, so that's a 0. 5, and negative 1. Leave a space and draw a line. First one always comes right down. Bring the 3 right down. Negative 2 times 3, negative 6. Okay. We multiply our 0 times what's in the bottom and move it up to the next spot. Combine them. Negative 1 and negative 6 is negative 7. Negative 2 times negative 7, positive 14. Combine them. 0 plus 14 is 14. Negative 2 times 14, negative 28. Combine them, we get negative 23. Negative 2 times negative 23 is 46. And I combine them and I get 45. So this number here is always your remainder. Then our constant. Then the first power, second power, and so on. Because I want you to think about this for a second. Okay? If I take something to the fourth power and I divide something to the first power, what do I get? You get the third power, right? So 3x to the fourth divided by x is 3x cubed. So I have cubed, squared, first power, constant, remainder. So my answer is 3x cubed minus 7x squared, 14x minus 23, and 45 over x plus 2. Much easier than the long division. All right, so do letter A here.